Okay, looks like it's working. We're about to start working. There we go. Hey guys. Today we're going to talk about something that I've talked about before, but maybe you don't realize the relevance of it. This is the idea of the cosmic egg, the Orphic egg, because it is written about by Orpheus, who Aristotle says probably didn't exist, but I believe he probably did. He just went into legend. He was a writer that existed generations before Homer, a poet and a musician, a bard, so to speak. Orpheus, his story is complicated. He fell in love with this beautiful girl named Eurydice, I believe, and she got bitten by a snake on the day that they were to be married, so he takes a trip into Hades in order to retrieve her, Eurydice. First, he comes across Cerberus, who guards the gates of Hades, the three-headed dog that Hercules has to fight, and his trials. Well, this is much more like Harry Potter, where you have the three-headed dog Cerberus that is put to sleep through song. This is achieved by Orpheus through him playing his lyre and singing a song of love and of how much he misses Eurydice. She was everything to him, and he was completely devastated after she died, and his grief couldn't be contained in the mortal plane. So he decided to venture into the afterlife to try to save her. This is much like the movie What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. So you have Orpheus traveling into the underworld to retrieve Eurydice. He gets past Cerberus, and then he gets to the river Styx, and he doesn't have the money to pay the boatman. So he plays a song, a sad song about love, and Orpheus is led onto the boat. He is ushered down the river Styx and is brought before Persephone and Hades, the king and queen of hell, Hades. He says, listen, I lost my wife before I had a chance to even marry her. Just give her a couple more years of life on earth since you're going to have her for eternity. And Hades agrees under one condition. Orpheus, while he's walking out of Hades back into the mortal realm. Hi, what's up, Claire? Whenever Orpheus is walking out of Hades back into the land of the living, he is not allowed to look behind him and check and see if Eurydice is following him. He listens for her, calls out to her, doesn't hear footsteps falling behind him, doesn't think that she's behind him the entire time, but he's too scared to look. And at the very end, overcome by temptation, Pandora's box style, he just has to check and see if she's there. And he sees her, but she falls back into Hades, into Tartarus, actually. And he is allowed to see her that one last time, but he has to go back into the land of the living. He actually tries to return to Hades, but is denied entrance, so he never gets Eurydice back. Not until he dies. There's a tribe of women who were called the Danae, I believe. And they sought after Orpheus after he had been back in the land of the living for years and had become a famous poet and a famous bard and sung all these songs about the gods, and through his power of love he could peer into the minds of the gods. So he wrote about Aphrodite and famous love stories. One of the cool parts about the story of Orpheus traveling into the underworld is whenever he apparently is granted the audience with Hades the first time and is requesting his the return of his lost love, Hades stops. All of hell stops. Like Tantalus stops trying to seek the water that he'll never get. Sisyphus stops rolling his stone up the hill. Everything goes quiet. And then he's granted his love under the condition that he eventually ends up, becoming the victim of. Turning back at the very end, well, this Orphic egg idea is one of the stories that he wrote about. It is used in the occult mystery schools. Heck, it's even there's even a Orphic egg mound in Macedonia. Hold on one second. We have all the windows open. I still have bad allergies, so I had to wipe my nose. So we have a mound in Macedonia that has a cosmic egg on it, and it's dedicated to the god, I think, Se is how you say his name, which is the same exact god that you have in the Greek culture that goes by the name Protogonos, or firstborn, sometimes known as the god Eros, the god of love, also known as Phanes, I think is how you pronounce his name, Phanes. This Orphic egg is surrounded by a serpent. This links it to the serpent mound that you have in the United States that has a serpent devouring an egg. This is all about the Kundalini serpent moving up into the pineal gland. The egg is the pineal gland, the pine cone in ancient Sumerian philosophy. The egg of enlightenment. This is why at the end of 2001 Space Odyssey, you see the main character now as a baby inside a giant cosmic egg floating above the planet Earth, representing that he is about to undertake apotheosis, being born into godhood, enlightenment, nirvana, the kingdom of heaven, whatever you want to call it. This is an estate that he was helped to, the cosmic egg state, the Orphic egg state, enlightenment, by the black obelisk, the black monolith of 2001 Space Odyssey, which, if you've paid attention to any of my videos, you realize that Hal, the computer that is portrayed as a big black rectangle with a red dot or a red light in the center of it, his eye, Hal being IBM, is one letter off in the alphabet, IBM, HAL. You have Hal meeting himself in the future as this black obelisk, not realizing that this artificial intelligence, this advanced alien intelligence that he was trying to communicate with, was himself outside of time. This is the Alice-Sophia paradox that I've talked about before. This end of 2001 Space Odyssey with the Orphic egg is showing you the mystery school symbolism of this Orphic egg and what it actually means. This egg is also called the egg of Kronos, the egg of Saturn, the egg of the Titans. This is the egg that the firstborn, Protogonos, meaning firstborn, sprang out of. All the gods gathered around to see his birth. The Titans, the primordials, if you want to call them that, because it's actually pre-Titans. These are beings like, Chaos, Gaia, Tartarus, the underworld, personifications of, I think, states of being. Well, they all gathered around to see the birth of Phanes, the Protagonos, Eros, Se by the Macedonians, out of this cosmic egg that was surrounded by the serpent. In the short film called I Pet Goat, you will see this cosmic egg symbolized with the serpent as well. And it's supposed to evoke a negativity through watching it. You're supposed to connect that as a negative thing, this serpent crawling around this egg. But that's because that whole video is designed in a way to show you that the negative, that what you perceive as negative is actually positive. The cosmic egg, which the god is born out of, is surrounded by the serpent. The serpent is just your energetic center, the energetic flow of the river that is you. Now, a river has many twists and turns to it, and so do your chakras. In order to make sure that the flow of your energy isn't blocked, you have to make sure that there's no obstructions, no underlying health issues, no glandular problems. You have to make sure that your gears are all turning, so to speak. Alright, see you later, Claire. The cosmic egg is surrounded by a serpent, but the serpent is also inside of the egg in a weird way, because the being that is depicted coming out of this egg, Phanes, has golden angel wings, the body of a human, and then instead of the lower half of his body, it's supposed to be a giant serpent tail. This eventually, the symbolism got changed around, and a lion head was eventually attached to this being as well. This becomes what the Gnostics call Yaldabaoth, the firstborn of Sophia. It's all connected. All of this is connected. Just go far enough back in time. The mystery schools have written about this, and they've put in the symbolism in your face for a long time in order to help you understand. You see, symbols are like music. The reason Orpheus carried a lyre and wrote poetry is because these things speak to us through time. If we hear a song that we've heard in a previous lifetime, something sparks inside of us. I'm positive of this. Symbols do the same thing. These little pieces of art that carry resonant intelligence, data that comes at you through your eye, through the light bounced off of these objects. Literally light acting as data through symbolic resonance that is passed through maybe DNA, maybe through some kind of subconscious that is connected in this web of a universal subconscious, maybe through an artificial intelligence, as I believe. I think these are all layered, one on top of the other. But the symbolism that is being projected at us, this egg surrounded by a serpent, Orpheus, there's a lot of story to the Orphic cults, and all this. There's a lot of stuff that they did that I don't agree with. But the people in charge use this symbolism. They put it right in front of your face. There are parts of the Orpheus mythos and the Orphic cults that are negative. You'll see a lot of the symbolism used by artists who are highly vested in Brahmovich and spirit cooking. Just something to think about. The Orphic egg, Phanes, Protagonos, Eros, the being that comes out of the pineal gland. This is apotheosis, like I said. This is enlightenment. This is being connected to the source, if you want to call it that, which, I don't like calling it that. But if your body is a river of energy, and that energy wells up from somewhere, then I guess the source would be applicable in that sense. All right. Well, since no one's listening, and there are 0 people in here, I will let you go. Thanks for listening. If you did, I appreciate it. Have a good night.